Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and MBs, and welcome to my living room.
Hey.
Also, the podcast. Hey, I had to start off with that. I'm sorry I had to. But yes, welcome to Warui Deshou's Stream of Thought covering Vinland Saga. We're up to episode 17, Servant. I'm Shadon, and joining me as always from across the pond, but close to my heart, is none other than the Soul Doctor.
Gucci flip-flops. Kick rocks.
Nice. So I've been busy, as you can tell. I will be probably continue to be very busy because what you can't see out of shot just down there somewhere is an immense amount of cardboard. I could build myself my own suit of armor from it. There's that much shit down there.
You're like a walking oh my god, what were those things? The fucking the Switch cardboard you know
Labo?
I mean? Yeah, yes. You're like you could be like a walking Nintendo
I don't even own a
Labo,
Switch.
man.
How do I remember that? What the hell?
I don't know.
God damn it. God damn it, man. God damn it. But yeah, we're back now to cover episode 17, where, in the ever-progressing saga that is Vinland Saga, where shit goes up to 11 in this episode, as it did in the last one. Like, it just... I'm sorry, but I've got to say ahead of time, this episode features quite possibly the most amazing single moment in any anime I've seen this year, like, at all. It damn near killed me. In all the best ways, because I just could not stop laughing. If you've seen the episode yourself, you know exactly which scene I'm talking about. And I like to believe that the whole story up until this point has just been an excuse to allow that to happen.
I think I might know.
Of course you know.
I think I might know.
Of course. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment, but first off, of course, we need to revisit last week's poll. So if I pass you over to Doc, I do believe you've got some handy over there.
I do indeed. So here are our polls. We do these every week, usually in real time during the episode. So if you want to vote on these, you go to @Warui Deshou on Twitter, and we will update the ones that we put out today at the end of the episode to give you early voting results, and then we give you the final numbers or close to it at the beginning of the following week's episode, as we're going to do now with episode 16. Poll number 1, after being slapped by Maskeladd. Askeldad. Askeldaddy. Do you think Canute realizes or intuits the truth of Ragnar's death? 61% of the audience says yes. Yes, indeed. So,
ooh, ambiguous.
Canute.
Mostly ambiguous. a little bit of majority there, but still, I think you could read it either way, to be quite honest. But I don't know. Like, I think personally, I lean more towards the he knows, because, like I say, he's lived through, his entire life was Game of Thrones episode, seasons 1 through 8. And he's currently going through season 8. That's why things are really terrible for him, by the way. Because that season crap. But anyway,
yeah.
It was, yes. So I think he's probably a bit savvy, or at least savvy enough to know that, Ragnar didn't just die, from random Englishmen who just happened to gank him like they were, mobs on Final Fantasy VII, You just, mind your step counts, you're going along, and then boom, Englishmen attack you out of nowhere. Am I right, folks? Am I right?
And I mean, he looked into Askeladd's eyes like it was there. It was there.
Mm-hmm.
So poll
So
poll number 2 is, what is the standard Thorkel diet per day? So I jokingly say a lot of the time about these polls, we've never had this happen before in the history of the podcast. Like when we have a 50-50 tie, it happens a lot.
I'm glad we're breaking new ground here.
But honest to God, we've never had this happen before in the history of the podcast. Of the 4 possible answers, we have a 3-way tie.
Whoa! Holy shit!
It was almost. It was so as well. It wasn't one of like a lopsided 3-way tie. It was like really close to being a 4-way split. 27% were awarded to each of the following contenders: 24 chickens eaten whole, 3 cows and 2 pigs, and 1 Angie. Yep. It's this slang for Anglo-Saxon. I mean, it's where they are. It is going to be an
Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah.
I wrote that in there because I had this amazing mental image that just came out of nowhere of Thorkel in the Untitled Goose Game.
Yes. 100%.
Chasing the goose around. Just frowns on end, like his big, gainly, loping walk. And he's just like, come back, Goose, come back.
Well,
and now that you've said Saxon Goose or Anglo-Saxon Goose, I'm just imagining the goose with a giant axe in its beak. Oh hell, can you imagine Thorkel going
Cockney
honk
goose.
honk?
Oh,
I reckon he'd do a good honk honk.
100%. So
Feel free to sponsor us, Untitled Goose Game Creators, by the way. We're doing good work here selling your products.
it's true. So, yeah, those are the one that didn't quite make it is Two Bears. But those are the polls, and there's still a couple of hours left. So if anybody wants to go out there and try to make it a 4-way tie or influence the first poll, that has 1 hour left. You can vote while we're doing this show, and I'll be posting links to the new polls for this episode in the Twitch chat.
Absolutely. Shouts to Dana, who's currently in the chat. I didn't put mushrooms in there because I figured, I don't think Thorkel eats vegetables of any description unless he absolutely has to. I think for him, he's an entirely he's just a pure carnivore. He's all meat all the time. Someone serves him a side salad and he just, gives them a look that makes them want to leave the country immediately and never come back. Put some real distance between them and him, if you know what I mean. Now, if it were Bjorn you were talking about, I would put mushrooms in the, poll as an answer, along with mushrooms, and mushrooms.
Exactly.
I hope you notice the very subtle and granular difference between those 4 potential answers.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Thorkel, not Bjorn. We're talking about the big blonde man, the very, very big blonde man with the large axe and minus 2 fingers on one hand, rather than the mushroom berserker. Yeah. So, and I also think Thorkel is probably one of those guys that's been drinking wine since like the age of 4.
I don't even think he started on wine. I think he started straight on absinthe. I think he just cut out all of the middle steps to be, getting acclimatized to drinking. I think he literally just went straight to, the hardest stuff possible. And then he just drinks it like it's Vimto.
His wet nurse was Jack Daniels.
Yeah, exactly.
Whiskey teat.
He drank every single one of them under the table at his family's house. Mm-hmm. And he was only 2. Oh, man. True. All right. So that was the polls. Thank you very much, everyone, took part in those. We'll be having more, as Doc says, coming up in a bit as we go along through the plot summary, which I'm going to now go through with you right this second. So this episode is called Servant. And in case you missed what happened last time, things have gone to hell in a handbasket for Maskeladd and his cronies. They have all turned on him, or rather a substantial number of them have. So we pretty much pick up immediately after where the previous episode left off. Now, Maskeladd actually, however, has he has a little bit of spare time, so he decides to have a flashback. And this flashback is of him when he was younger, even younger than he was when we saw in the previous episode where he was carrying his mother off that boat, to them in a stable somewhere. She herself is narrating to him about the idea of Avalon, which is where King Artorius went to, and he's recuperating from his wounds until he returns to the mortal world to walk it once again and do battle once more. I'm going to just only keep this brief. I don't want to do this as full side point, but I want to note, by the way, I really, really liked how they drew Lydia in this scene because she looks completely and utterly defeated and spaced out. It's not something so physical that you can see about her, that she's missing, say, fingers or something like that. But you can tell from just the way she looks, even the way she's not even focusing her eyes properly, that she's really, really seen some awful, awful shit, as Maskeladd alluded to. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the obvious similarity between Lydia relating to Maskeladd about Avalon, which is a faraway magical place of milk, honey, and sunshine, to Vinland, also a faraway magical place of milk, honey, and sunshine. You see where the parallels are coming in here, folks. It's like I keep saying, you keep getting those cycles, those themes coming in and in and in. But I'll not belabor the point. So Maskeladd, he has that little flashback, and he comes back and says, look, don't be putting your Billy Big Balls on here. Remember your place, motherfuckers, right? Don't get ahead of yourselves. But then he asks them if he can speak frankly and candidly with them for one last time. And because everyone's an idiot, they all decide to get within striking range of Askeladd's sword while he has this very candid conversation, which says, I'm going to talk to you through this, as in I'm going to, cut all of you down with a single sword stroke. And Hey, you know what? As a fighting game player myself, I've just got to say it's a really dumb idea to let your opponent build up enough meters to use their super move and then not be ready for it. I mean, come on, guys. Wake the fuck up here. I mean, Daigo, if Daigo were in that crowd, he'd have seen that coming a mile off. He'd have Evo foot, whatever else, moment 34, that shit. Parried all of it.
I thought the Vikings were like the ancestors of, the fighting game community. So, I mean, what happened? What happened?
I don't know. I'm just going to blame Street Fighter 5 again.
Okay.
Or I suppose if you're into that particular thing, as I've elaborated on Twitter earlier today, we can blame the Guilty Gear. Blame all fighting games. All of them.
Blame the Guilty Gear demo for all of our problems.
Just blame everything. I mean, I watched the Guilty Gear 2020 demo. It gave me cancer. Great. Thanks for that, Daisuke. Great. Whoop-de-fuckity-do. No, it didn't really, of course. Anyway, that's a discussion for a different time. So, a fight breaks out. And at this point, everything goes completely and utterly apeshit. Bjorn makes a break for it with Knut, Thorfinn, and Father Booze, as we'll call him. Did he ever actually get a name, come to think of it, Doc? I'm not 100%
he's just called the priest. Or priest.
He's just the priest, fair enough.
So, I mean, I think... So we talked about the Bjorn versus Thorkel drinking battle. What about the priest versus Thorkel?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because it's like, I mean, the priest is not like necessarily a social drinker, but he's just like injecting it into his veins directly all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, Thorkel still wins, Dana says in chat.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it.
Well, the thing is, like, Thorkel, like, even though I think he's meant to be in his late 40s or early 50s, he still looks pretty spry. So I reckon that the priest would die before him, not from drinking, but just of old age.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated, like, incident, that kind of thing.
Maybe if it's like a large volume at once, then Thorkel would have the edge.
Well, I think that, like, you see the priest just casually drinking it straight, but he's only sipping at it. Thorkel, he just smashed the thing and just drink it all in one go.
It's true.
So I think he would win if we're being quite honest with ourselves here. But yeah, everything goes completely to hell in a handbasket. So Askeladd starts fighting his own men. Some of them allow Bjorn, Knut, the priest, and Thorfinn to escape on the cart that they loaded up previously, but they are pursued in turn by men on horseback who have broken away from Askeladd's group. And Bjorn's like, look, I'm working with Askeladd, so fucking what? Come get me. Come at me, bros. Come at me. And they decide to make the sensible option instead of killing the horses, which I think, if you happen to be a PISA member, you're probably going to not enjoy this anime very much.
No.
I mean, the horses have, not had a good time in this one, if I'm being quite honest. And that's not the last time we'll be talking about horses having a bad time in this very episode. So stay tuned for that when we get to it. But yeah, in doing so, the cart crashes, and I'll tell you now, because this is just what happens every time I see a scene like this. Whenever I see a group of people flying through the air in slow motion, Greenbird from Cowboy Bebop just starts playing in my head.
Yes. Yes, me too. I'm so happy that you are afflicted with this also. I feel like if you're of a certain age,
how can you not?
This is a poll. This is poll number 2.
Honestly, that was the first thing that popped through my head. They all survive the crash. Knut is found to be okay, and indeed one of the guys picks him up by his hair, showing how little they actually, value him as a person, more as a, bargaining chip, shall we say. But Bjorn, Bjorn, he's had a rough day. He just wanted to, do some pillaging, do some plundering, have a couple of mushrooms, just have a nice little nap. It was going to be a nice, chilled out Saturday. I'm assuming it's a Saturday, could very well be another day. But anyway. And you know what? He's had enough. So he, rises out from underneath the broken car. His helmet's gone. And he just pops in one of those mushrooms. And you know that, if you've ever played Doom 2016, just imagine the Rip and Tear song from the OST just playing as that happens, I mean, Mick Gordon totally could score the following fight scene between Bjorn and those men. During all this confusion, though, Thorfinn actually manages to jump onto a horse. He did that before the car was crashing, because Thorfinn is just basically, Viking ninja at this point. And he realizes, oh wait, didn't I have an unscheduled murder appointment with Maskeladd? Oh no, he's back there fighting 50 men. I'm over here. Oh shit! I made a horrible error, which I think maybe is leading towards Vinland Saga being, a cautionary tale about the dangers of queue jumping. I don't know, because I think everyone's like taking a ticket and waiting for their numbers to be called to murder Maskeladd at this point. But that being said, in Askeladd's favor, he certainly isn't making it easy for them. He's killed his way through a fair few of them yet. One thing to note, by the way, just as a small detail, is that in the OP, the second OP that is, you'll note that Askeladd has a scar across.
Sorry, I just had to say
it. Visually superior, but it ain't no Mukanjo, as we say. No. But like you can see that he has a scar across his eye. But if you like around here, and I don't know if this is an error with the animation, but I swear blind that scar has not consistently been there before, which led me to think that he got it during this fight. I only mentioned that just because I thought this was the moment. I'm not really that bothered one way or the other if he did get it or not from that. But anyway, so Askeladd is, he suffered a couple of wounds, but he's still holding his own. Mm-hmm. He's doing okay. So he starts.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, carry on.
No, he's doing incredible, right? Mm-hmm. He's like a dude versus 50 guys, and he has no shield, and he's like. At this point, like, I don't know, he has like a forehead wound, and his bicep has been sliced.
Yeah, he's been cut.
I mean, but he's killed like at least 15 people.
Well, the thing is, like in a lot of fights like these, where it's one against several, the bad guys are often very, very gracious, and they operate under fairground ride rules, which is that you only go one at a time, or two maybe if you're in a group. So, they all nicely queue up and they all get, cut down by him. That's not me, like, criticizing, by the way. I'm just having a good joke at it. But yeah, he continues to murder his way through a couple more of them. Takes out someone's eyes,
Oh, what a dick move. What a straight up heel wrestling move. Pow.
I know. He just went straight for it. And then he decides, I've really, really had enough. This day has been shit. He's having that kind of like, mid-Monday morning like blues that you get when you've just come back from a good weekend. You've got an in-tray full of crap to deal with. And you're just like, I can't be arsed with this shit. You just want to flip tables. So he cleaves a guy clean in two.
Well, it's because someone hit him in the back with an axe. And that's when he's like, all right.
Bitch, you for real?
Yeah. Did you really just hit me in the back with your axe? Yeah, when he cleaves that guy, they're just like, oh my god, my axe can't even cut through helm. Like, where did he get this sword? This is fucking crazy.
Yep. But then, unfortunately, we get irony theatre 101 here, because Torgrim, who I don't believe we actually learned his name prior to, so I could be mistaken on that. He's one of the bros, the arm bros, and he's the one leading this insurrection against Askeladd, and he lines up his archers to shoot at him. And I'm just thinking, oh, Askeladd, this is your playbook, this. How does it feel to have a taste of your own medicine now, where you're outnumbered 50-1 and archers are about to murder you no matter what you do? Stings, doesn't it? So, he says, hey, I can't die like this. This ain't fair, because this is Askeladd and he's still going to be completely smug all the way to the end. Because why not at this point? Besides, he's lived a hard life. He's not going to go down on his knees and start begging for mercy or anything like that. He's probably going to flip them off as he just, expires. Let the rigor mortis set in so people can't turn his fingers down.
In chat, I think Dana makes a great point. Really, really fun. That cleaving that guy was a tactical mistake on his part. Because he's like, oh no, I should not have lost my temper. I shouldn't have done that. I need to calm down. And he's like, hey, everybody, I was just a little annoyed, but I'm fine now. You can.
Yeah, I just had a bad moment.
I'll stop being so loud. You can now continue to believe that you'll beat me and rush me one-on-one.
I mean, I'm sorry Jim over there had to split and all that, but we just had a disagreement. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, he, has a laugh and a joke and saying, hey, you know what? Like, if I die, Thorfinn and Bjorn will come back and kill a lot of you. Exchange me for the prince, as long as you let me live. But Torgrim, in a surprising moment of intelligence, which I actually, I'm not saying he's dumb, by the way. I just didn't think he would make this this very clever play of his, like, oh, we can take you alive, but it doesn't mean we can, not, incapacitate you.
Go for the legs.
Go for the legs. And, his men prove that they actually can hit something, which is they seem very surprised about afterwards.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, Askeladd is down for the count. He's basically on his last legs. As he rises up, though, using his sword to, like, hold himself up, he recalls, not in detail so they're aware, but we, of course, as the audience, are privy to his flashback, so we know what he's referring to. He says, basically, I'm getting too old for this shit. I've been waiting far too long for the return of the king. The film, of course.
Sorry.
Wrong theme.
Oh wait, that's
Wrong
Game
theme.
of Thrones shit.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, what is it?
Oh dear.
Ba-ba-da-da.
I can totally see Askeladd sitting on the Iron Throne. But
yeah, that's the right one.
Yeah. So, he's like basically given up at this point. That's the whole reason he, or at least as he tells it, that he's been doing this whole plan of, getting Canute and all that. That he's just fucking bored of it. And I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, and we can discuss that in the talking points, but I will say this. If that is true, I probably have a lot more sympathy for, Torgrim and company when basically their boss just admits, oh, I was just doing this for giggles because I was, I didn't want to die pissing in a bedpan, I'd rather, go out like this. Anyway,
well, didn't he say he's ready for, like, the king to be restored or something like that? He wants to see the king in Avalon or something to that effect.
I think he said he was tired of waiting, from my memory.
But yeah, no, he did definitely say that, but waiting for...
Oh, do you mean for him to go to Avalon? By dying?
Oh, no, I, like... So, you should check the episode, I think, while we're talking, because he's tired of waiting to make a certain move or have something happen. Like, yeah, I don't think the implication was I've just been dicking around. I think it was like he's been planning something and he just can't afford to be so methodical now. He feels like his life is coming to an end and he has to rush things.
Yeah. Well, he says he's old and there's, no place for him after this, which, funnily enough, ties into what Thorkell was saying previously about, the end of war as we understood it. But anyway, so it looks like, that's it. He's now going to get cut down by Torgrim's men. And in the distance, of course, there's, there's 1,001 like birds flying away. You've got wolves howling and all that shit as Thorfinn is just screaming his head off.
Oh, Thorfinn. I thought you were trying to say Thorkell is back there like, huh? I can't see him too well, but are they actually fighting each other? No. Yeah. Wait for me.
But yeah, Thorkell turns up with his men in tow. And, well, they're all boned, basically, at this point. Every single one of Torgrim's men, including himself, just drops their weapons because they know they are screwed.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What a complete fuck-up on their part. Because by dicking around with Askeladd for all this time, I mean, we've seen what Thorkell does to people who wants his effects in the previous episode. So, big whoopsie on that one, mate. Well done. Well done. Tactical genius right there.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, like, had they seen that happen before? Like,
no, but we know, so we know what we know that there's no malpleading sort that.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, like, how stupid was it on their part? I mean, clearly stupid, but like, did they know how heartless he was before they did this?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm gonna just propose the theory of Thorkell avoidance here, which goes something like this. Let's assume this is Thorkell and this is you. Okay? Now, let's assume Thorkell is moving towards you. What do you, as a rational person, do? You move away in whatever direction you can. What you do not do if you're Torgrim or anyone else with a functioning brain cell, is either stay put or go towards him. Unless you're Thorfinn, because Thorfinn's, got vengeance on the brain, he's gone full Metal Gear Rising at this point.
He's got big brass ones as well.
I don't think it's that. I think he's just completely and utterly like, no way, I saw him first.
It was amazing.
Don't cut the queue.
It's like that's my the last pork bun is mine. It's the most intense I've ever seen him, for sure. So
Thorkel speaks to Askeladd, and Askeladd reveals what's going on, the fact that Thorfinn is indeed still alive, but not in rebellion. So Thorkel, who for the most part in this scene just looks incredibly bored with all of this, I'm surprised if you had to watch, you'd probably be checking it like this constantly. He makes a decision. Askeladd lives because Askeladd will bring Thorfinn back, and everyone else just gets their heads chopped off. Whoops. This has really been a bummer of a day for everyone. Although Askeladd does have this incredible, resting bitch face going throughout most of this scene, which is just incredible. Thorkel and his men say, "Hey, look, pick up your weapons and fight. Don't die like dogs," which they do. But then Torgrim, thinking, how his day could possibly get any worse, he gets singled out by Thorkel for one-on-one combat, which is like, watching a small baby being singled out by a giant bear to just, have a fist fight with. I'm not going to say it's entirely impossible, assuming some sort of incredibly cosmic coincidence that causes the bear to, just have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
But we all know who's winning this, and, Thorkel, he's walking up, he's at least twice his size in every way that counts. And, well, blue screen of death happens in his brain, It really does.
Compiling error.
Yeah, just need to submit a crash report on that one, because Torgrim just completely checks out. He's just... I don't particularly blame him. But, anyway, at this point, Thorfinn turns up. He's riding on horseback. He's making his way through all the men. Now, I don't know about you, Doc. I don't know about you. But let's assume you're a soldier in an army, and you've got a guy on horseback coming at you.
Okay.
What would you do? First thing that pops into your head, what would you do if this person was going towards you and wanted to, kill you, and they were on horseback while you were not? What would you do? What's the first thing that pops into your head?
I would duck, I think.
You would duck?
Since they're, higher than me, and they're going to swing for my upper... So I would duck, or I would try to attack the horse, maybe.
Well, that's, I suppose, technically true, because Thorkel takes one look at this, and he decides to, he decides to channel his full Ken Masters on this.
Sure you can.
And he uppercuts. He uppercuts the horse and sends it 6 feet in the air. And...
Man, right on the chest. It's is that horse gonna be back next episode with a Sagat style scar across his chest? For getting uppercut.
This is the moment where this show peaked in a way that I did not think was going to be possible. This is the moment that, to me, I thought everything that we've dealt with throughout all of these episodes has just been to lead up to watching Thorkel uppercut horse.
I mean,
and I was dying with laughter.
It's so ridiculous.
It's such a fucking ridiculous thing, and I couldn't help but find it funny.
Data rightly says "poor animal" in the chat, but in these crazy scenes, it's okay, this would never happen. It's hilarious.
It's hysterical because it's so absurd.
It's when I just watched this the other day. It's when the first episode of Tiger Mask Double, when the main character suplexes a bear. It's of course the bear, but it's hilarious because he suplexed the bear. Or in Kenichi, Mightiest Disciple, when Kenichi suplexes a shark. It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, or in Stardust Crusaders, where Jotaro through Starplanet punches a shark.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks
getting beat up is always funny.
I was just astounded by it. Okay, so Thorfinn recovers anyway. I don't know about the horse. Like I say, I think, like if you like horse, this show is definitely not for you.
No.
And he lays it out, right? Asgard is not my boss, he's my prey. If you touch him, I'll kill you. Which leads to the incredibly deeply ironic situation they find themselves in, which is that Thorfinn and Thorkel are going to duel again. And if Thorfinn wins, he will then get the opportunity to duel Askeladd again. Like, you're getting your jewels in your jewels, mate. Is this like full Yu-Gi-Oh here? What's going on? But that's the plan. And Askeladd thinks this is completely batshit, but then again, that's been his day from, the moment he woke up to now. And otherwise, that's pretty much the end of the episode. We leave on the cliffhanger of the
Such
two
a cliffhanger.
And we've got to wait, because thank you for this, Amazon. I'm presuming it's your fault, you dickheads. We've got to wait not till next week, but the week after. Yep.
Sucks.
Yep. What else can I say? Oh boy, but what an episode it was. I mean, holy crap. I was like, in terms of just raw entertainment value, never mind like any of the meaty stuff that we often talk about on Stream of Thought. This episode, like, I think probably was one of the most entertaining of the show, if not the most. I see. I want just a quick shout to Theo in the chat here, who's mentioning there's a sports event being broadcast in Vinland Saga's place. I'm presuming it's not the horse uppercutting championship. I'm really hoping it's not anyway.
Is it the rugby? Is it finally the Rugby World Cup
final?
No,
the rugby's over.
Okay.
South Africa won.
Okay.
So who knows what it is? But it's stopping us from watching Vinland next week. So me and Doc will undoubtedly have a discussion after this podcast is over on how we will fill that time. I certainly have a few ideas. But yeah, that brings us to the end of episode 17 of Servants. Now let's go into talking points. Oh boy, do you want to lead off first, Doc, or shall I?
Well, I will lead off, and my first talking point is that it's pretty cool this episode that we got to see Askeladd take off the Maskeladd.
Oh.
He removed the Maskeladd.
Oh. That was Jesus Christ, Doc. I think you did more harm to me than if I just smoked an entire pack of Marlboros.
Oh, I'm not sorry. I don't regret it. Well, no, that part, so most of my talking points are going to be of this nature, but that part was really fucking cool. So many sort of emotional payoffs, that were planted long ago, flowered this episode. We just got to see him just be like, you know what, Danes? I hate you. You're the worst. And
you're all shit.
I've just been using you, and now I'm going to cut you up. And, this episode, he was, guts, almost. And that he's just, taking everyone on. And you see him later with arrows all over him, pulling himself to his feet. I can't help but be reminded of Thor's. You have two.
That's definitely the intent behind it for sure.
Father figures of Thorfinn, getting full of arrows taken away from him when he doesn't want and yet Askeladd just being this is just it's perfect. It's perfect because he's not being redeemed. He's not saying some sort of prayer or my dying wish is only that you be happy, Thorfinn, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's he is going down in
everyone's sticking to their guns on this.
Yeah, he is ride or die with his convictions, riding the horse he came in on. And
don't say that in this episode, man.
That's probably bad. I didn't do that on purpose. But no, it's great, and he gets to unleash, and we said, the fact that he really for just a brief moment showed how badass he was, and that was his undoing. Like the one time he kind of stops being calculated, it's like a microcosm of like this whole thing, right? Like the one time he decides to like, forget the meticulous planning. We're gonna go right instead of left down this other path that led to this whole crazy situation. And I just really liked him this episode. Like, he's been such like one of the reasons to watch the show, one of the main reasons to for a long time. And I mean, he's terrible, he's despicable, he's an awful human being, but I love watching him.
Yeah, his existence serves the wider point the show is making of the cyclical nature of war and how it changes and corrupts people over time, especially the idea of like wanting revenge. Like, I mean, Thorfinn wants his revenge on Askeladd, but Askeladd in turn wants his revenge on entire people. And, he sees a means of which to do that by, fucking around with Canute. Doesn't quite work out, but he's still willing to do it. And he's certainly been using his men all these years to get that. He's never felt any true camaraderie towards them. And that's all because of the circumstances he and his mother found themselves in through no fault of their own. I mean, there's a very good reason the opening flashback is framed the way it is. Because not only do we get, like, as I mentioned, the shot of Lydia looking like she's barely even, like, cognizant of what's going on around her, but then there are shots as well of, like, the thin, like, soup or gruel or whatever it's eaten that's being, like, picked at by rats and flies, and it just kind of puts an equivalence between those creatures and them, that's the kind of, like, impoverished existence that they live. And none of that's their fault. That's Olaf's fault. And he's not even seen in this. He's just, left about there.
He's
like
just hanging out in the Frozen 2 trailer.
Oh, no.
I don't know why I thought of that when you said Olaf this time. The fucking snowman. Anyway, sorry.
I'm horrified.
It's all that guy's fault. He's made these poor families suffer.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, moving away from horrific implications Frozen Vinland Saga fanfic. Thank God for that. No, I agree with you. Like, Askeladd, he fits the bill of not, I suppose, a sympathetic villain, but certainly an understandable one. And I think that the show is going with a lot of great care to doing that. Now, apart from the instance I mentioned way back when with episode 8, where that was done out of order relative to the manga, and I felt that was a detriment because it was building him up to be awesome, when in reality, had it been placed at the start, it would have brought him down. Since then, following what I presume to be the manga's order of events pretty closely, it has kept a good sense of perspective on him. Like, it's had those episodes, for example, with Anne, where we get to see him through her eyes, and it brings us back from, like, getting too close to liking him, but reminding ourselves that he is indeed a wicked and despicable individual.
Terrible, the worst.
And as I've said, and this will tie into something I'll talk about in a moment, the fact that had Thorfinn, not been tied to his own ideals of a sort, he could have prevented all of this. So yeah, I think the show has done a magnificent job of giving us like a line of thinking that we can see of how he got to this point, even though it's something we absolutely cannot agree with, especially given all the awful things that he allows to happen or does directly. I mean, way back when, like, I said, well, hey, at least this guy's a rapist, and maybe I'm wrong on that. We don't see it in the show, but he's still certainly, responsible for allowing his men to do that. He's the leader. He's accountable in many, many ways, all of them. So, yeah.
How do you feel about him taking up the torch for the bald representation? Apparently,
where on earth did Thorfinn get the idea from?
Is it because he has a receding hairline and he's sensitive about it? I feel like that's where
this
the Jake comes from.
Look, Thorfinn, bro. I know you've got a real vengeance boner for wanting to kill the fuck out of Askeladd.
You can't just fling the term around willy-nilly.
You can't casually associate someone like him with us fellow. I mean, we've got a bad enough threat by being called skinheads. As just be fair here. So do me a favor and just be careful what you call him. Like, there's plenty of other nasty things you can call him. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Call him horrible murderer, evil, black-hearted snake, traitor, whatever. But like, yeah,
Smug.
but yeah, an
Because
asshole.
he has a great moment looking up at Forkel, and Forkel is like, basically causing him to crap his pants, and he just goes, something sets up, I know how you're feeling, Torgrim, I'm so he's just taking the piss out of him because he knows how screwed he is, and I love that moment.
Silence. Talk to the hand, Askeladd.
It was so good.
Apparently, Hage is like it was translated as Baldy, but it's like just a way to disrespectfully refer to an old man person. And, you don't. I guess he wouldn't say G-san or OG-san because he hates him or whatever.
Ah, I see. Fair enough. All right. So let's talk about the idea of revenge. Everyone loves a bit of revenge. It's a dish best served cold.
We're gonna plot our revenge on Harmony Gold starting right now. That's what this podcast is about.
Oh, it's been in the works for a while. By the way, Harmony Gold people, if you happen to listen, go fuck yourselves. Anyway, back on track. So here's the thing, right? Let's infer something from the way this episode ends. Let's assume somehow, presumably by turning on God mode or installing that Game Shark of his, that Thorfinn does manage to outright kill Forkel. I mean, the bookmakers won't take a bet on that, and I sure as shit won't, but let's assume. Askeladd is really, really badly injured at this point. He's, like, mortally wounded, I would argue. I mean, he's got 5 arrows in him. He's bleeding around. And this, by the way, I should just remind you all, this isn't modern day. This isn't where, this isn't even like, Rome or Egypt where they had some understanding of medicine, like antiseptics, for example. This is in the frozen wilderness of England. Like, the only thing that Askeladd is getting is leeches. Leeches galore. That's all he's getting.
Pour some boiling wine on it.
Yeah, pretty much. Either that, or he's going to have all his wounds cauterized with a poking iron.
Yeah.
But if I had to rate his odds, bearing in mind my medical knowledge starts and ends with what I learned playing Theme Hospital when I was a kid, I would rate his odds of survival as being slim to fucking none. And maybe he will. But the thing is, right, what we've seen here is just how quickly things can turn to the point where Thorfinn's chance for revenge is slipping away from him. And it's going to leave him with nothing. He's going to have nothing as a result of this, and it's going to get him nothing if he does kill him. And this is all because of him holding on to that damn code of honor. But then, of course, if Askeladd does survive, will he ever be able to fight again? We don't know. I don't think it's likely, to be quite honest. So what happens then? Is he just going to say, well, I obviously can't kill you. Can't fight me in a duel.
I know, he's going to be unhappy.
It just takes one little moment like that for everything that Thorfinn has worked for just to be almost torn away from him. And it really just goes to show how pointless this whole thing is, especially the whole idea of doing it honorably. Like, I've critiqued Thorfinn's actions before, not as a bad part of the show, by the way, but just as a failure of his character, an understandable one given all he's been through, that he should have killed Askeladd a long time ago. Honor be damned. And indeed, I'll get inside in a moment, about how, Vinland Saga is critiquing this whole belief and honor system and even religion as, a complete waste versus the reality in front of you. He should have done it a long, long time ago, and now because of all those years holding on to that, code of honor, it's got him nothing. All it's going to leave him with is, possibly being killed by Forkel, so wasted life basically, or he kills Forkel, and then he might not even have the chance to kill Askeladd before he dies in his sleep from septicemia or something. His fucking leg rots off. Who knows? This is the thing, Andy. Because Thorfinn, he had that idea of his father of being as good as he was, and he can't believe that Askeladd beat him in a fair fight, because it wasn't a fair fight, of course.
Right.
But that's the thing. I think that Vinland Saga overall, it continues to build on this idea of critiquing honor systems, codes, religion, even. How many religious precepts do all of these people have that amount to nothing? Christianity certainly hasn't helped Canute. It hasn't helped the priest. The priest has been critiquing it. Avalon, this mystical place that Askeladd thinks of has brought him nothing. He himself has come to the end of his road here, pretty much, and he's got nothing to show for it. All of these systems of belief, whether they're religious or not, whether it's based on honor or anything else, have brought nothing good to any of these people here. Now, you might think to yourself, well, that's a bit harsh, religion's not all bad, to which I'd agree. But I think that, in the circumstances this is being portrayed in this time of, English history, it's just showing it for what it really is, in that it's not sufficient versus, firstly off of being, caring about your fellow man, but also being pragmatic enough to defend yourself and do what's necessary, even if it's perhaps dishonorable or against religion, to make, to do a lesser evil to prevent a greater one. That's my feeling on it. There's a lot to unpack from it. And we're not even done yet with Askeladd, who is still very much alive, but yeah, nothing good has come of any of this, save for Forkel punching a horse.
Right. Let me just hold on just a second.
Oh. Someone's ringing dogs to give him Vinland Saga spoilers. I hope he doesn't.
Okay. It was no one important. I just didn't want the ring to disturb
It was going to be Vinland Saga spoilers. He was just going to start yelling stuff on the phone. Forkel marries the horse.
Oh my god. Big spoilers. So I think the show is actually doing something really interesting with the notion of revenge, like you talked about. How in a single moment, like this whole thing came tumbling down, and I think like it's really sort of easy for us to see, at least for us, from where we sit, to look at kind of how the show critiques Christianity and says like, oh, like this belief system is found wanting, people believe in it die, it's so fragile, like it comes down around you. But like Thorfinn's belief system, even though he kind of has backed it up with a knife rather than like a cross and prayer, it still came down around him just as easy. It still
all
collapsed.
Of it, yeah.
Like it was still just as fragile. So like so I'm glad that they've I think this is an important move to get to the thing that you've been talking about for so long, that the show is not necessarily just going to talk about religion, but talk about kind of systematic thought in general when it comes to this really kind of strict moral and ethical norms, and making
black and white. Yeah,
making these choices based on kind of abstractions rather than on the ground pragmatic considerations. Like, and that appears to be what they're going after now. Excuse me, I have a touch of the sick. I do.
A touch of the sick. Is that what it's called in the DSM?
Yep. It's may lead to someone wearing plaid a significant amount of the time and drinking a lot of Diet Coke, which is not me.
Oh, well, that is me, that's for sure.
No, that's definitely me.
That is, I'm doing the same, to be fair.
But
we're also showing for product sponsorship from Coca-Cola.
Hey, Coke, we out here, nonstop rocking. Hit us up. No, so you talked about like having no benefit, right? This is where I think I might be getting hung up. Is there any tangible benefit to Askeladd's mom believing in Avalon and believing that Artorias lives there and that there's a land of plenty and green? I mean, it's not going to like put more food on her table.
I think that for her, like the benefit of it is basically as a kind of like blind faith versus, again, the reality that's in front of them. Because you can tell she's been through some rough shit, so she didn't have that to hang on to.
Yeah.
She would probably, I don't know what she'd do. She'd probably just go into despair. God knows what could happen.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
this
is
pleasant one way or the other.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of what I want to get at, is that, like, for Maskeladd, for Thorfinn, for Askeladd's mother, for various families in the show, these kind of systems and systematic thinking about the world, you know, maybe they don't, like, make it less cold, or, like I said, put more food on their table, or give them gold, but I think there is something to be said for having, like, hope and a purpose. Like, even if, I don't know, I mean, this is a weird, I guess, thing to say, but, like, you know, Maskeladd, maybe Askeladd's a bad example, but, like, I don't know, maybe these characters that have a purpose, like, and have hope, like, maybe their lives are kind of able to be more fulfilling, or, like you said, they don't just fall into despair. I don't know. I'm still not sure, and I think this is, like, a credit to the anime in some ways. I'm still not sure if, like, characters dying is the anime going, well, they're wrong. You know.
Look what led them to this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do agree with you that the show, I think, is saying, like, systematic thought and making choices based on abstract morality and universals does lead you, or that won't always save you from pain. It is going to lead you into a bad way. Like, it is fragile. It is, I mean, no matter how Teflon and tough and it is, and how much you think it armors you, you're going to still get hurt or killed. I think that I think is for sure. But is that by itself enough to be like, okay, these things are bad and you shouldn't do them, and you should definitely be a totally pragmatic atheist or something like that?
I'm going to say no, if only because, bear in mind the name of the show and where we're going to end up. Vinland itself is a concept that we haven't even made landfall on it yet. Whether or not we even will before the series is over is up for debate, in my opinion.
Will they get off the boat?
Ooh. Well, we'll find out in, 7-8 years' time when we get around to Vinland Saga Season 2, of course. Not because they can't do it any sooner, but just because they're being procrastinating, you know. Hey, you know what? I'm very much ready for Thorfinn's guest series, so let's go with that.
I agree.
So, I think that because currently Vinland is not actually Thorfinn's had ideas and dreams of it, but it's not the thing that occupies his consciousness. The only thing that occupies his consciousness every waking moment of the day, apart from basic survival instincts like, eating and such, is killing Maskeladd. So I think that maybe the idea is not so much that, rigid thinking in general is bad, but rather that if there is an alternative that can lead to a better outcome for us, we shouldn't be so dismissive offhand, even if the thing that currently drives us, that really pushes us, is so deeply ingrained into who we are and what we've been for most of our lives. We have to be open to new ideas. That could be one way of looking at it, certainly.
So in chat, Andy and Dana are talking about Askeladd's relationship to Canute. What do you think is going on there? I mean, do you agree that, Maskeladd wants Canute to be Artorias come again for Wales?
Well, the thing is, Canute wouldn't be the king of Wales, though, would he? So you'd have to consider the context from becoming king of the Danes. And part of me wonders if maybe this is his way of getting his own little bit of revenge on them, because if he basically teaches Canute to be like him, a bastard, What's that going to cause? It's going to cause that, the Danes just keep sending all of their men and such into war and getting everyone killed. It's going to make life miserable for the English, make life miserable for them. It's going to just promote more and more conflict. It's going to be like his passing shot to the world to leave this kid behind who is as awful as he is. And it's going to keep perpetuating the same stuff that caused him to become who he was in the first place. Maybe he's not even necessarily doing it consciously. Maybe it's just like, a kind of, deep reserve spite that's coming out there. But because Canute is a Dane, I don't believe he's doing any of this out of, the good grace of his heart for Canute's sake. Granted, we did discuss in the previous episodes as well that the idea might have been to put Canute on the throne so that way they can have the non-aggression pact with Wales.
Right.
And maybe that's Askeladd's, trying to harden him so that way, he can become a stronger person in his eyes and then have some kind of gratitude to him for that. It could be a number of things. I personally would, if I were him, would not, put too much faith in like that kid holding any sort of non-aggression pact. Mainly because, well, when you're a king, yeah, sure, you can tell people what to do. But more often than not, if you've got a general or two in your... They're pretty ambitious, they got a fair few soldiers under their command, and they see you're a bit, a bit weak-looking, perhaps. They might have the big army rule, as CGB Cray once put it. It doesn't matter if you keep the king or not. You're one person. I've got 1,000 people outside, and we're just ready to go on in and have a little party here. So could be any number of things, but I think that Askeladd's intentions are, whatever way you want to slice it, not for the benefit of Denmark or Canute specifically. They're either to serve his own ends in terms of getting Wales off the hook from being attacked by the Danes again, or simply just to let the cycle continue and cause Denmark to continue to go to war and let all the people, all these people they send off, be killed, all that sort of stuff. I agree with what Dave just said. I don't think Askeladd actually believes that Artorias. I think it serves as much of a faith system as it did for his mother. Something to give him an anchorage to like his past, something to believe in rather than just going completely off the deep end as she might very well have done.
Right. So what we do know so far is from a couple episodes back when Askeladd had the conversation, I think it was with Thorfinn in the Moonlight, that he believes that a current cycle that they're in is coming to an end. And I think he believes his own life is in twilight. And, here the prince falls into his lap. And I think all the circumstances have kind of converged and come together. And he feels like, I have to make this play for Wales. I think that's what we know.
Which is why he then decides to go for the try, gets all...
Yeah.
Lands it. Askeladd is a rugby player, damn it. That's more beyond, to be fair.
So, I don't... Yeah, I mean, it's clear he thinks Canute is not, ideal for whatever kind of, thing that he wants to set up. He's not an ideal king. And that's why, he killed Ragnar. He wants him to toughen up and, learn to be different somehow. We don't really know how that would have played out. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure how kind of his thing about Avalon and Artorias fits in with his plans so much as certainly we see that for his mother, it was a way to hope. And I don't know, maybe that's just a thing that has been getting Askeladd through the night all these years.
Who can say? He certainly cared a lot for his mum back as he did in the flashback we had, I think, at the start of the second core. So, yeah. But yeah, like I say, all of this, it's just unraveling before them, and it's going to be pretty much for nothing in the end. In fact, you know what's kind of funny? You know how I've complained in the past about this show being set the point is in time because its anti-war message is lost when you realize the march of history and all the various events that follow, not least of which being in Vinland, i.e. America itself. Yeah. But maybe, now that I think about it, if I flip my perspective on this, the whole pointlessness of everything, that's the point, that, hey, it was stupid then, it'll continue to be stupid, and maybe we should, stop being stupid and letting these things repeat.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Learn from history,
I
etc.
mean, your mileage is going to vary on this because I still think there's some credence to my criticism of, it's like I've said when I've compared it against sci-fi works, which are set at firstly in a fictional place and B in a timeline that hasn't crossed yet. They become cautionary in the sense that we have the power to prevent this from happening. Whereas the key difference here is that this has already happened, and everything between now and our current time has happened. Mm-hmm. So clearly that lesson wasn't learned, and it doesn't seem to have quite the same impact.
It's a lot more pessimistic.
Yeah. But, it's still a lesson worth telling, and I think Vinland Saga is telling it indeed, both in terms of its macro level, which is to say all the stuff it's doing to all the countries and such, mm-hmm. But also on the micro level, as we see with Thorfinn, Canute, and Askeladd. Even the villain, even he is a product of his time, rather than... Well, I'm not going to say he doesn't have, free will, or that he doesn't choose to be, the awful person he is.
Right.
You can understand how those things formed in his head over time to make him think it's so easy just to simply go, I'll just go rob that other village. I'll kill all of them, take all of them. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
It's why it happened to me as a kid. So I became who I am. I don't see what the big deal is.
Or we need to live, so let's do this horrible thing this one time.
We need to pose for a Viking rap album. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
That's another peak moment in the show's run, by the way. There's probably been quite a fair few of them, if I must be honest.
It's been 10 episodes since then. So we're due for
wow. We are. Anyway, I'm done on that particular point. Do you have any more, Doc?
For that point, no. I mean, I have other points.
Here's another point, lad.
So what do you think Askeladd meant when he's talking to his men? I don't remember exactly what point this was. It was before he had been felled by arrows, so he was still up. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if he had started killing people yet, but he said, "It looks like you didn't have enough faith." He said that to Torgrim. What do you think's going on there? Was that just a clunky?
I think it's just faith in him, faith in him as a leader. I think it's really just as simple as that. Although, ironically, I suppose you could say that Torgrim said, "Hey, I'm sick with the status quo. I'm sick of death of the status quo," which was something I was saying that the show's promoting, and that's also fucked him over. So maybe a teensy little contradictory there. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just curious because
answers on a postcard, folks.
Yeah, I honestly just don't know what exactly was happening there. Maybe I'm just dense, but it got by me.
I think. Theo's just said it. Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, I as I say, I think that maybe it was more just the case that it was just belief from his men. He didn't have enough of it. So
okay, yeah.
All right.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I've got a talking point now, and this is going to be an open kind of debate one. I'm not really kind of got a perspective I figured out yet. But we need to talk about Thorkel for a second because, when you critique a work, sometimes you have to take a perspective that you might not necessarily agree with, just to try and play it from a devil's perspective. So I want to ask a question here, right? With everything we've seen of Thorkel in the run from Vinland Saga, from the start of his first appearance to now, and all the crazy stuff that he's done, where he almost becomes like a cartoon character, including playing battleships, inventing the kebab, and then also uppercutting a horse, and all of those very things he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it might actually be doing Vinland Saga a disservice to see him portrayed in such a manner? Where he is that cartoonish, that overblown, that larger than life, relative to the otherwise fairly muted and level tone of all the other characters?
I don't think so, because he is outsized just enough to be godlike to the people in the universe, but he's not, I don't feel, doing anything sort of Marvel superhero-ish. He's not
because the horse!
I know, but I mean, he's a really big guy. He's twice the size of the horse. And
He throws tree trunks around to impale boats with.
I know, but it's not as to me like it's just enough to be like, okay, here is a like legendary figure in Viking lore, maybe that maybe in some kind of historical retelling it's outsized, or I don't know, like it doesn't strike me as it doesn't diminish the message, because I mean the message to me still comes through pretty loud and clear. It does make action scenes cooler and funner sometimes, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No, not necessarily, but this kind of feels like it's on the same wavelength as the problem I mentioned, where we're making Maskeladd too awesome, specifically with the adaptation problem of putting episode 8 where it was rather than being the first one, as it was in the manga. Like, look at how awesome these guys are, but they're doing awful stuff. I mean, Thorkel is massacring people, and he's killing unarmed prisoners. And, you know, he's not a good person in his own right either. I mean, he's doing giggles just to entertain himself, really, and also to, you know, gain to Valhalla. But that, I would argue, doesn't really wash as an excuse for doing what he's doing. He's certainly not got any like deep abiding principles or desire to help people. He's just killing because he enjoys the killing, and killing's what he's good at.
Yeah, but unlike a giant robot, it's harder to think he's cool, because a machine doing cool things and blowing things up, like you could admire the beauty of a tank or a gun or whatever, or a big robot, because it's just a machine. You could be like, oh, that's so cool. But like, it's harder to me to think Thorkel is cool, because like Thorkel is a dude making the choice. Like there's nothing sort of super added to him that you can. He is just the dude who's doing all the killing, and like the scenes, like they're sort of like awe-inspiring to watch in the way that he's able to deal death. But like, I don't know. I'm not like, I want to be Thorkel when I grow up. He's so cool.
I definitely don't want to, you know, if I ever have, interest in Saga, you know, when we're all living like, you know, on the moon or whatever.
Right.
I will make sure to say to some kids, don't do like him. Don't be punching that horse out there. You want to play battleships? Play the little game. You don't actually throw at the ship itself. I don't know why my accent changes. It must be the moon does some shit. Anyway.
Never uppercut a horse. But also, like, okay, so what Dana is saying, like, makes me wonder, like, if a show that is all about, like, the hopelessness and shittiness of war needs, like, a Thorkel, because he is, like, the product, like, he's, like, the product of it. Like, if there was not war being so awful and profitable and this thing that like kings and powerful people are obsessed with, then this like huge killing machine who, you know, killed for no reason, like wouldn't exist, or wouldn't have existed, or wouldn't have the opportunity to do everything that he's doing.
But we also really see a lot of consequences for Thorkel's actions, where everyone else like clearly has suffered in some way or another because what they're doing, or in turn they are presented fairly unambiguously as being, you know, terrible people like Maskeladd. Like, it, to me, I'm not really agreeing with the point I'm even making here. I'm just trying to cover this from all angles to give it a fair shake.
I hear you.
Because I'm not going to lie, I am incredibly entertained by what Thorkel. He's a ray of sunshine in the show, and maybe that makes me feel bad. It's problematic. It's one of those problematic things where you can still enjoy a work even though you admit it's not quite right. Sure. But like seeing that Thorkel doesn't have any real consequences for his actions, like, you know, he succeeds at pretty much everything he sets his mind to. The only time he's even been remotely set back is when he lost his fingers, and even then he was like, "Please, what?
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh right. No,
yeah,
and you know, even when he got stabbed through there, like, you know, with Thorfinn's die, like nothing has phased him thus far, and every time he's like, you know, been doing way through all of, you know, the local towns, he's been having a cracking time doing all this, despite the fact that he, as I say, is massacring more people or if not as many people as, you know, other forces in this show. But for him, like, you know, he's not presented necessarily even as a bad person.
There's almost like a touch of innocence about him. Almost.
He's very childlike, I would argue. He's enjoying it, like, you know, as if it's a game. But again, like that's why I wonder: is it appropriate for him to be presented thusly when the show otherwise, with other characters such as Askeladd, make it very clear that there have been quite substantial consequences, both personally and to other people, for what they've been doing.
Well, if you need almost a cosmic kind of death dealer figure to mete out consequences in the show, because that's all he's done is just like, he is consequences. Like, hello, my name is consequences.
So maybe it's, not to maybe view him as a character, but more as a force of nature. Like maybe
almost
maybe as an avatar, like of the inevitable, fate that they all face for the actions they've done. That for all that they profited off war, someone bigger and stronger is gonna just come and get you anyway.
I don't know if that's like
themes and ideas and meaning. Yeah. Oh my god!
I don't know if that's like for the whole series, but like for this episode, I think that describes him perfectly, because that scene where everybody throws down their weapons is incredibly powerful, I think. Like, just to see them all dropping. Because there's so many of them. Like, if they didn't have such, like, deeply implanted fear in their souls, like, maybe they could have done something. But, like, this raw force of nature, like you said, it's like they're at the gallows. It's like the guillotine is hanging over all of them. They're just, I mean, that it paralyzes Thorgrim completely. Like, yeah, this episode, he very much is like that.
Sounds about right. All right, maybe that's it then. Maybe it's simply a case that we need to distinguish between, when we analyze characters as characters and characters as concepts. Maybe that's more the idea with Thorkel, rather than him existing in the same kind of plane of existence, if you want to call it that, as Thorfinn and Canute and Askeladd, who are meant to be interpreted, critiqued, and parsed as actual people, rather than Thorkel, who seems to be channeling his, massive amounts of Popeye energy in everywhere he goes.
So in chat, they're saying, like, well, so Askeladd's men are hypocrites because they don't want to die, even though they believe in Valhalla. I do
faith again lets you down.
Well, I think that's so. It is accurate to say they're hypocrites, but like I don't think the show thus far, anyway, to me, has been like true believers are rewarded and hypocrites are punished. Because, like, true believers have gotten fucked super hard.
Oh, yeah.
This
kid who I've picked up, he's meant to, replace my deceased son, John. I will care for him and feed him. And, oh, my God, he helped burn my village down. How could have seen this coming?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, and that wasn't through, like a fault in that woman or in that family. It was just because, because faith is just not enough to save her from the awfulness of war, right?
Yep. Oops.
Sad.
That
show is
sad.
Such
a down. It is a bit of a downer, but like I say, I think that, I think it's not necessarily saying that all belief systems are bad and all, lines of rule-based thinking, are also wrong. But rather, I think it just asks that you, take a little bit of a self-reflective moment here and say, am I doing what's necessarily best for myself here? Is this a good life that I'm leading? I mean, Thorfinn's life thus far, kill, 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 kill. Also, it turns out he can use throwing knives.
He really, yeah.
He leveled up enough to unlock that particular talent, and he's put enough, points in it, so it's actually really effective now.
Kunai time.
I mean, heck.
Yeah.
I mean, heck. Next thing you know, he'll be able to teleport.
Stop. Did you enjoy the part as much as I did when Thorgrim has been singled out by Thorkel, and Thorkel has given him the axe, and he's like steps away and starts like prepping, and he's like humming. He's so gleeful.
When are we getting? I mean, I said this on Twitter, but when are we getting Thorkel's 7-minute workout video?
I know.
Left, right, left, right.
Welcome
All right.
to 10-minute abs with Thorkel.
All right, everyone, we're all nice and warmed up now. Let's go killing.
Yes.
You know, it's the one video where you can not only do your delts, but you can also commit mass murder. It's a very niche market, but it works.
Oh my gosh. So let me see. I talked about that point. What's your next talking point?
I'm actually pretty much all talked out for talking points. I know that's hard to believe, folks, because I can run my mouth pretty well. But yeah, I've said all I really want to say on this particular episode. At least until we get to our Patron questions, of course.
Yeah, right. So I do think it's it's a good job on the Thorfinn voice actor, because the screams and the yelling, that was pretty intense, and
it was pretty close to Macanjo levels. He was very, very close.
It was
at the Prophet.
It was
maybe
really good. It was really, really good. And the way that they drew his face, so kind of grotesquely intense. Very
all tense.
Just lots of lines and a very hard experience. He was just,
almost like the veins about to pop out of his head.
I know.
And then try and strangle Maskeladd, of course.
It was great. So, all right, let's get to our Patron Question.
Indeed. So we have two this week, if I'm not mistaken. The first one comes from, Sound Gentleman Blinkaji here, a aficionado of Vinland Saga. And he goes something like this: Bjorn. Discuss Bjorn. Understand Bjorn. Bjorn. Which I thought was him, Bjorn. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Sorry.
Bjorn.
So, Bjorn is actually, the counter-argument to the idea of Maskeladd not inspiring enough faith in his men, because he clearly does have faith in him. But something that has been noted by other people, and I think that we brought briefly, is that for all that Bjorn's initial portrayal in this show has been basically as the grunt work guy, he's just muscle, really. He's a bouncer. I'm sorry, Dana. That is incredible. Bjorn is just a magical mushroom girl.
It's true. It's true.
True, you could have my role on the podcast, because truer words are never getting said on. Yeah, you nailed it. That's a stunner of a point there. But yeah, Bjorn, he is initially portrayed as just being dumb muscle, but he clearly has a lot more perspective on it. And even now, as I said, he recognizes that, hey, you know what? We can take Thorkel in a fight. What are our alternatives here? If you dick around trying to kill Maskeladd now, you're gonna die. Either Maskeladd will kill you, or Thorkel will kill you. So, pick your poison here, motherfuckers. So, he has the very right idea of going for that. And I'm very curious to see what his ultimate fate will be, because if you think about it, he and Thorfinn actually occupy a kind of similar position of trailing behind and following Askeladd's weight, just for very different reasons, but with the same kind of degree of fervor. Indeed, they're often referred to in the same sentence, such as when Askeladd says, Bjorn and Thorfinn are quite good, they will get you. So, once Maskeladd dies, Thorfinn will be set free after a fashion. What happens to Bjorn? Will he have the initiative of his own to do what he needs to now survive in this world? Will he take over from Askeladd's remaining men? How will he do this? It'll be fascinating to see how he deals with this, not just because he's an interesting character in his own right, but to see how it diverges and contrasts to Thorfinn's, eventual path once they leave Maskeladd behind.
I don't think he's making it out of this alive. That's my.
Oh no! What do you reckon he's gonna OD?
I see him.
He's totally ODing, isn't it?
Doing the whole all right, Thorfinn, take Canute and go. I'll hold them off. No, I want to just go. Shoves him out of the way, puts the last of his mushrooms in, and just becomes nude red Kratos and starts annihilating people.
I need brain bleach for that image. Jesus Christ, you make fuck? You make him sound like just a giant inflated hot dog queen.
Exactly.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Or the way I see it happening is he'll fight off, of course, the men that are like around Canute and the priest. And then Forkel will catch him eventually, and he's like, "Oh shit! I need to take another mushroom to be ready for this." But he opens up his pouch. There's none there.
No. We need another senzu bean.
Just at the last possible moment, he just runs out, and that's when he turns to the cat. Have you been in a situation like this? Do you need mushrooms delivering fast? Consider subscribing to Amazon Prime.
The one button click.
He has a dash button for mushrooms.
Yeah.
He's just there constantly pressing it. I'll never get bored of beyond just goes through mushrooms like water jugs. I can just imagine like a giant truck just pouring them into his mouth.
Yep. So I think it is really cool and interesting that like a couple of the characters with kind of the most like ironclad like commitments are these horrible dudes that are just thieves and mercs, Askeladd and Bjorn, and like I said last time, Bjorn has been one of the only people, even during the good times, to like push back on Askeladd's ideas.
He's not a blind yes man.
Mm-hmm. But like he is clearly like loyal to the person of Askeladd more so than like gold or some kind of like political ideal or whatever. He's like, this guy, like I've made my decision, and so rain or shine, like I will be with him even if it means I gotta fight this like hopeless battle, because that's what I decided to do. And that's very sort of noble and what you'd expect from like a knight, a king, but you just have like this berserker guy who's like a hired muscle, almost like second in command to this like nobody mercenary, and he's like the most honorable dude in the show.
Indeed,
from that perspective, but still awful. I mean, has his honor, but a pillager, plunderer, killer, like all of the above, but like this like one commitment, it's quite something to see, and it can be hard to wrap your brain around, but like I don't know, I think this is just like who he is as a man, like as a person.
I agree. So yeah, that covers my thoughts on. Thank you very much for throwing that question, as always, Mikaji. We have one more. This comes from the ever. What did you think was the funniest part of the episode? Well, no surprises for guessing what I think the funniest part was, because it actually made me stop the episode for a solid minute while I was belly laughing at just the absurdity of it. Although something I haven't disclosed that I really should. As the horse was running up, or like galloping up to Forkel, I thought, is he going to punch the horse? Is he going to punch the horse? Please let it happen. Not because I like to see animals get hurt, because it would be so absurd. And God bless you, Vinland Saga. You delivered. You delivered one of the most absurd, stupid things I've seen in an anime all year, if not possibly ever. I mean, I've seen some goofy shit in anime. But the thing is, I enjoyed it immensely. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't laughing at it in kind of a mocking kind of way, where I was just like, it's not like, watching Futoshi carry the fucking bread out of the bunk or whatever, or other stupid shit. I laughed my ass off at it. And I don't think there's going to be another moment like that in the remainder of the show's run. I think we peaked as far as, oh my God.
Like this kind of thing used to be like what I always looked for in anime, like what my favorite thing about anime, like I would just like seek out these like what the fuck moments, like at the end of Getter Robo Armageddon when Getter 1 cuts a planet in half with an axe, or like in like the suplexing a shark we mentioned, or God damn it, I had another one.
I'm thinking, for some reason, it just pops in my head of Marco. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Although Mako in general is pretty incredible.
Or like in Gao Gaigar when they show the real reason the dinosaurs died, like it wasn't a meteor that crashed onto Earth. It was like these two robots that got sent through a time portal back to when the dinosaurs were alive, and they crashed into the surface of the Earth. That was the meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
I know. It's also equivalent to, and I know you're very. Do you remember Delta and the Machina and Raider blew up the hole in the wall that became cat shapes?
Yes.
And of course, all the cat puns.
I mean,
that's
like absurd stuff.
Only in anime could you get this sort of stuff. I mean, like
the Macross quarter, like surfing and punching a thing, like incredible.
Yes,
incredible.
Yes. I mean, if I may point something out, actually, now that we've brought this up, which I think is really noteworthy, I think that thus far in this show, a lot of what's happened in it, like you could probably translate it to live action pretty much note for note, with certain concessions for going to that particular format versus what we have here. I cannot imagine how you would change like Forkel punching a horse to live action. Absurd as it is, and cruel as it is, arguably, it could only exist in animation. Things like that are like, the little flavor that makes anime distinct. So yeah, for me, it's no contest. It really, although I will give a shout out and a bonus prize to, of course, the scene of Maskeladd just coldly roasting Torgo by saying, "You have my sympathies."
It's really good.
It's really good.
Really good.
Maskeladd's like, he's a multi-talented guy, but his level of smugness is just great.
Way up here.
I love it.
And the gleeful Thorkel like workout bit it's up there. It's up there.
I love it. Like the man even needs to work out when his opponent, he's had a bowel evacuation that he didn't plan for. Yeah, I would have checked out too, if I'm quite honest.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mira, for questionnaire. So if you've enjoyed us talking about Patron questions and you'd like in turn to, ask us what our feelings are about, is, as someone suggested in the chat, is Bjorn best waifu, or anything like that. You can ask us anything about the show you want. It can be a very serious topic, like, about the anti-war messages, or it can just be goofy stuff like, what's your favorite Pokemon? Why not consider becoming a patron? You get yourself in there, get yourself in for as little as $2 a month, get yourself access to a load of other really cool features beyond that. You get exclusive access to early material, both for ongoing shows and also stuff like, requests. Tokyo Godfathers is now out. So if you want to, have a go at looking at a Satoshi Kon film, which also features a lot of Big 4Kel energy, I would say, in certain respects. That's the phrase I'm coining now, Big 4Kel energy, because it's true. He channels his own energy, that man.
Big TK.
Big T. Man. Definitely have a look at that on our Patreon, which is, of course, at patreon.com/Warui Deshou. All right, then. Well, with that done, we're pretty much at the end of the episode now, so I think it's probably about time we firstly revisited the polls and then offered our ratings.
Yes, so I'm refreshing now. Here are the polls. There are 4 polls this week. Ahem. So, poll number 1. How boss is Shadon's new room?
Oh, that's kind of you.
So far in the early days, there's a tie between Big Boss and Bossa Nova.
Well, if I had an eye patch, I actually could probably do a reasonable. I would need hair as well, a mullet. But I will take that nonetheless. Thank you for that, folks.
Trailing behind are So Boss and Boss Nass.
Did you say Boss Nass?
I did say Boss Nass from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. You fucker! Trying to skirt that one under the radar. saying that my room looks like what you get if you put a frog in the microwave for just long enough.
We must be punished. Punished.
You and I are having words after this podcast is over, mate. I'm telling you that now.
Poll number 2. When you see someone falling in slow motion, does Yoko Kato in the seatbelt's green bird run through your head? So far, 100% say always.
Yes. I mean, come on. Like, I'm usually okay with putting... a possibility for like differences of opinion. It's not like I'm going to ask you, is red red or something like that. But this is an obvious one, you know.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Don't be a 2 + 2 = 5 person. I'm just going to say, you've been warned.
Unless you're a Radiohead fan, then you can be that.
Fuck him, whatever. I don't care.
Poll 3. Did the show peak when Thorkel uppercut the horse? 67% say Shoryuken. They agree, yes.
And what were the others?
Nah is the only other choice.
Well, obviously the answer you should have put was name.
God damn it. I fucked up. Poll number 4. All things considered, how do you feel about Maskeladd? And the choices are, he's awful, but I love him, and I can't bring myself to like. And so far, 100% of the votes in early days say he's awful, but I love him. And that's where I would vote.
Oh, that's our Maskeladd.
That's our Askadad. Askadaddy. I'm trying to bring up the chat. Okay, and those are the polls. So please go out and vote at Warui Deshou.
Indeed. Thank you very much, everyone who's voted thus far. Right then, let's round out and rate the episode, Doc. So I'll let you go first.
Oh, I mean, this was the full 5 for me.
Wow.
5. Yeah. 5. Big Thorkel energy workouts out of 5. Like it. Like I love the fuckery that is uppercutting the horse. And
how can you put it as anything else?
It is. It's just straight fuckery, and everything else of like Askeladd and Thorfinn, like the character kind of payoffs, like the reveals and when things are like crunched, when the characters are getting crunched, their true selves are coming out, and what they're fighting for is they're sort of desperate to cling on to it or protect it or whatever, and it's all really good, really entertaining. It was one of the fastest watches for me of all these
the pace
episodes.
In this particular episode, by the way, I should mention, was pretty exquisite. Like, it just flowed naturally. Like, it didn't feel like a second of it was wasted. For my part, I'm not going to give it the 5. I really, really want to for the horse. I really, really want to. But I have to stick to my guns on this and say that there have been better, more meatier episodes in the show's run thus far that have given us more to talk about, more to think about. And I would also argue there have been better fights in it as well. Because, I mean, we can't obviously forget Thorkel, playing battleships or, the siege of that fort, which in itself was quite exciting. So I think that individual things that you could pick about this episode.
Look, I gave it the full 5, but it's not perfect. There's a part
where
the horses are running across the snow that looks like early 90s PC gaming. Like, it is atrocious.
I hope they managed to wash all the CG off beyond, man.
It looked terrible, and I'm not you're usually the one talking about this, but I noticed it, so it has to be bad.
I did, and I didn't bring it up, which I really should have done. I mean, to be fair to Bjorn, but anyway. So no, I think that there are certain elements, like say the themes, the narrative, the motifs, or even the action scenes that have been done better in other episodes in this very same show. But I'm not going to deny that I wasn't continually entertained from start to finish. Not a moment of this episode was wasted. It was very, very lean, very, very focused. And it still gave me stuff to think about. It still gave me good action. So in the end, I will settle for 4.5 Horseyukens out of 5.
Oh, God.
I may have possibly just killed Doc. I am so sorry. Then again, what pun did you drop on me before that made me made my spleen almost eject from my body?
It took the Maskeladd off.
Yeah, my appendix almost just went just ricocheting off the walls. It was that painful. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our discussion for episode 17, Servant. Who that might refer to, you are more than welcome to interpret as you like. Because it's
Saber, Ryder, Alexander the Great, Jack the Ripper. My favorite surname.
Oh no, we've got to deal with Jack the Ripper in a different.
That's the wrong
We'll be discussing-
podcast. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the wrong podcast. Don't get the don't cross the podcast, man.
No.
It just results in total platonic reversal.
Exactly.
You know.
The worlds are colliding.
But anyway, thank you so much to everyone who's joined us this evening in chat. If you're watching on Periscope or if you're watching on Twitch, wherever you may be catching this from, thank you very much for taking the time to join us on this Monday evening. Now, as I mentioned before, because Vinland Saga is off the air next week owing to some sporting shit I could not give less of a toss about, we will see. I'm going to discuss this with Doc off cast, and we will, of course, inform you via Twitter or Discord, wherever you may be, on what we ultimately will do. I'm leaning, and I don't know if Doc will agree with me on this, but we'll discuss it, on recapping some stuff that we've not discussed that we have been watching otherwise. I particularly like, for example, to talk about, say, Beastars and also Babylon. But we'll, of course, come to a conclusion on that later. In the meantime, I'd just like to mention that and you'd like to support us, if you want to help me fill out my room with more stuff, or just pay me for my time, then why not consider becoming a patron of Warui Deshou? We've got 3 tiers. You've got your $2, you've got your $3, and your $5, and they give increasing amounts of benefits as you get up. We have a Discord running where we often run game nights, for example, and we have some pretty good banter with some really, really cool people, including ourselves, of course. We also, are doing an ongoing weekly Patreon exclusive, or at least early access stream of a show called Kabuchiko Sherlock, which currently is that.
Not as good. Not so great. A lot of the time.
It's got its issues, let's put it that way. I mean, I didn't realize the latest episode would have the Shercock in it, but there. You know exactly what I'm talking about, but we'll of course discuss that.
Actually, I don't. But I'm just laughing in anticipation. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Oh God. Right. Okay. So we'll not discuss the Shercock right here. So we are doing that. We have a request queue. I recently completed my essay on Tokyo Godfathers. I am not going to be going to the next one just yet because I'm doing another special episode, which I'm still keeping secret because I don't want to reveal to you all yet the absolute horror of what I've witnessed. Although, again, I will give you the clue that it is Christmas released in a similar sort of way as Tokyo Godfathers was. Just saying. You want to put 2 and 2 together. I mean, Doc knows.
I know.
Doc knows what I've witnessed. Doc knows what I've witnessed, and he just thinks to himself, "This is the absolute pillock I have to work with every week. What am I doing in my life?" So that's happening as well. And you, in turn, can, of course, then request shows or even films for us to cover if you so wish. And you can get involved in other things like requests for us to decide, what show we'll be covering next season. There's all sorts of good stuff in there, so definitely do check it out.
I'm going to try to get a group watch going on at some point soon of something. I'm going to experiment with platforms, but it's something I'd like to do. And Shadon and I have got some, patron exclusive Christmas content that's actually good about, Shadon's content will be good, but the things that are going to come out are about good things. And we're going to be preparing that to release to you guys over the holidays when we'll probably be, on holiday. We'll be away. So it will give you some of your, weekly doses of us when we're not around to feed the content piece.
Do not exceed the maximum stated dose. So anyway, thank you very much for everyone for joining us. If you also, by the way, if you are not subscribed to Patreon, you might want to consider, drop us a like, subscribe, all the usual good stuff on any one of the services you might be listening to on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, you know what I mean here. Anyway, on that note, we'll leave you be for the evening. I'm going to wish you all a very good night. And as always, as we want to say on this particular show, embrace each other, everyone. It's the end of the universe. Good night.
Good night.